Apart from short-term developments, we can discern some key security challenges in the Asia-Pacific, which will require concerted and collective effort to manage. First, the safety and security of sea lines of communication, the arteries that connect the Asia-Pacific together. Southeast Asia, in particular, is an important region where key straits used for international navigation, such as the Malacca and Singapore Straits, are located. Continued safe and secure transit through these straits will be of concern to many nations. Over 50,000 vessels transit the Straits of Malacca and Singapore every year, including tankers carrying an estimated 15 million barrels of oil a day to the most populous Asian countries such as China and Indonesia. These same vessels also ply the South China Sea, which is the maritime gateway to 3 of the world's 5 busiest ports. These sea lanes are vital to long-term regional stability and prosperity, and we all need to work together to keep access to them open, safe, and secure for all to use. In the Gulf of Aden, we have seen how a breakdown in law and order in a littoral state has given rise to piracy, which continues to threaten the safety of this international waterway. With the interconnected global economy, a threat to maritime shipping in one segment of the sea routes could raise shipping and insurance costs and ultimately harm the economic well-being of everyone. Therefore, the freedom and safety of maritime navigation in Southeast Asian waters is an important concern for all of us. Successful cooperative efforts among the littoral states to establish the Malacca Strait patrols, and also between littoral and user states through the IMO, the International Maritime Organization-sponsored cooperative mechanism, has resulted in effective multinational cooperation that has reduced the incidence of piracy and sea robberies, benefiting the region as a whole. The principles of the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, were used to arrive at the form and nature of these cooperative efforts. UNCLOS provides a useful basis to guide the way that various claims to maritime zones and jurisdiction over sea areas can be resolved. UNCLOS was carefully negotiated to balance the interests of coastal states in exercising certain rights over adjoining waters and the equally important interests of user states for their ships and aircraft to exercise their rights of navigation and overflight. With globalization, countries will increasingly find that they are both coastal states as well as user states of sea lanes which are far beyond their shores. So countries which used to think of themselves and their interests defined mainly as their coastal state interests now have user state interests as well, because they are major trading countries, major operators of ships and shipping lines. Hence, we all have an interest in ensuring that the international norms in UNCLOS are universally respected. UNCLOS principles, as well as the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea, should also guide the resolution of conflicting claims in the South China Sea so that peaceful negotiations take place and conflict is avoided. Separately, globalization also facilitates recruitment by terrorist groups, self-radicalization, and the copycat transfer of terrorist methods to the internet and the international travel network. The recent wave of detentions in regional countries, including in Singapore, shows that this threat has not abated. In April this year, we detained a young Singaporean who had become self-radicalized by listening to the online lectures of radical ideologues. In June, we also placed restriction orders on an unaccredited religious teacher and his student, the former for disseminating extremist material and the latter for attempting to participate in armed jihad overseas. This follows the arrest of 12 men in Malaysia in January as part of a broader international terrorist investigation. But even with the successful arrest of terrorists, there remain significant challenges in effectively de-radicalizing and rehabilitating terrorist detainees. Many of the jail terms of the group that calls itself the Jemaah Islamiyah were arrested in Indonesia following the 2002 Bali and 2003 Jakarta bombings are coming to an end. So the jail terms are coming to an end in the next few months. Constant vigilance and effective community efforts to reintegrate these individuals are needed to prevent them from returning to their terrorist ways. An added worry is the spread of extremist ideologies to other prisoners in the prisons where these detainees are held. This could lead to the radicalization of these other prisoners, expanding the pool of potential operatives as the terrorist detainees, as well as other prisoners, are released.